So today we're going to be talking about the show Swarm and discussing how it demonstrates the perils and pitfalls of parasocial relationships. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you have not, newsflash, spoiler alert. I'll try not to make the spoilers too crazy, but there may be some hints here and there, so just so you know. So, yeah, basically, I recently saw the show Swarm, and normally I'm not one to hop on the bandwagon or want to see or have anything to do with something that's just been crazy hyped or overhyped or what have you. But in this instance, I did find out that it was one of those rare occasions where the hype seemed warranted. Um, I actually feel it's very well deserved. And not only was the acting from the lead character phenomenal, the acting from the supporting characters was phenomenal as well. And I felt that the show, which at times feels more like a movie, did a great job of blending genres such as comedy, horror, and psychological thrillers all into one. And even the documentary episode, there was an episode that was kind of more like a mock doc or a mockumentary, as some people call it. And that was also excellently done as well. It was very meta, but it definitely works in a lot of ways. And even though at times it seems there's some aspects of the story that are set in stone, um, from this show, I do get the feeling that the writers and directors wanted to present a story that leaves a lot open to interpretation by the viewer. And one of the things that we first learn about the main character, Dre, is that she is going to be added to our long list of popular film and television characters who are unreliable narrators. Ah, yes, ladies and gents, our beloved unreliable narrators. I'm going to put a link to an excellent quick video clip on that topic below as well. But yes, so stories such as this, especially since we don't really learn that as much until towards the end, kind of as the episodes progress, unreliable narrators are becoming a new popular phenomenon in film and TV, and they often exist to help you further question what it is you've just seen and encourage a viewer to use their own imagination, intuition, and their own insight to form their own conclusions about the plotline of the story as a whole. Now, this aspect about the film might frustrate or confuse some people. I know I'm still on the fence about how I personally feel about it myself, but I feel it's the same reason a lot of people love this series, as well as the character of Dre. Dre is, to say Dre is complex would be putting it mildly. In fact, it might be the understatement of the year. Um, At one moment, we're meant to feel sorry for her. At the next, we're embarrassed for her. And the next after that, shocked. And after that, horrified by what she's just done. I keep referring to it as a movie or a film. It's just that the story to me in my mind, the way I see it, had more of a kind of like a movie or film feeling to me than a show, even though Janine Neighbors, one of the producers, said it's going to be a limited series. They all were released at the same time. They weren't just like released like, 1 week at a time. So a lot of people binge watched it. I think most people binge watched it. It's very intriguing. So that's very easy to do that. I had to break it up into 3 separate viewings. But yeah, so I'm probably going to call it a film or a movie more so than a show. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying before, Even when she herself is in danger, it's very easy to feel sorry for her because we're seeing the story, well, most of the story anyway, in the first person style of storytelling. So we're viewing everything through her lens, what she sees and what she hears, right? The thing is, as the series progresses, we learn that what Dre sees and hears isn't always the same as what the people around her at that time are seeing and hearing. Not to give too much away or place too many spoilers in this, because that is one of my personal pet peeves, even when seeking out film reviews myself, films I have not yet seen. So I understand the frustration, but I also have to tell myself that there's at least a slight chance that there will be a spoiler somewhere. It just happens. Even when you're trying diligently to find reviews that don't contain any, even when they say they don't contain any, it'll happen. So you'll need good luck with that if you also try doing that as well, because film reviews or television show reviews without any spoilers are certainly few and far between. So that's not my intention for this review. It's not necessarily an in-depth review for each episode, however, an overall commentary about the series as a whole, if that makes sense, because I think it's an excellent reference point for the topic of parasocial relationships, which is a topic I've researched about quite a bit over the past few months. So it's certainly not without its flaws. However, I believe the positive aspects overshadow and far outweigh the negative ones. Donald Glover in the past has impressed me already with his blending of fact and fiction, especially during an episode he co-wrote and directed for his critically acclaimed show Atlanta. It was episode, I think, season 4, episode 1 of Atlanta. It was titled Three Slaps, which I previously did a video on. In short, it merged the news stories about the recent many back-to-back drownings in Georgia's Lake Lanier with the story of Devontae Hart, a young man whose photo of him hugging a police officer went viral during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement protests. Devontae was actually killed by his adopted parents along with his 5 other siblings in a family annihilation act of murder-suicide. Yeah. So anyway, Donald, he incorporated that story very sensitively, and I think he did an excellent job. And he certainly has a knack for mixing fact and fiction, like very few other people I've seen. He just might someday replace Truman Capote as king of the nonfiction fiction genre of storytelling. Storytelling that combines fictional and factual events and merges them into one to create a whole new story. There are casual fans of celebrities and content creators, influencers, etc., what have you. And then there are those who go above, beyond, and over the top, will literally stop at nothing to do what they feel is protecting the celebrity they stan. And I personally think it's very wise for Beyoncé to keep her distance when it comes to this show. I think it is interesting that to date, she has still not expressed any type of stance on it publicly. However, the fact that she hasn't come out bashing it speaks volumes. But who knows? Maybe Beyonce may have even secretly enjoyed it. Though I'm sure she likely would never admit to that publicly if that was the case. I'm sure the Queen Bee herself, Miss Beyonce, feels that many of her fans are wonderful, but as the entire world knows, there is a portion of her fan base who are known for being, all I can say is extra. So another aspect of the series that's commonly praised is how it takes an interesting, unusual, unique approach to conveying like interesting, unusual, unique situations that seem to be happening more and more often and becoming more and more common. And a lot of the reviews praised it for its comedic spin and taking a comedic approach to that, because if going in the other direction, that's something that could just get super dark. So yeah, definitely that is a more enjoyable angle and aspect to watch, to be entertained. Um, but yeah, it does a good job of delving into fan bases as a whole, and it does a good job of depicting a little bit about how fan bases can become considered generally toxic. And it just made me think about the whole, Selena Gomez, Hailey Bieber situation. It's like you couldn't go anywhere the past few months online without hearing about the feuds amongst those two. And something is just different about this one, because we have feuds among celebrity fandoms all the time, right? We have the Barbs versus the Barty gang, Selena's fans versus Justin's fans, Selena's fans versus Hailey Bieber's fans, Taylor Swift's fans versus everybody, right? So basically, but the show makes you kind of ponder what it is that causes a fan to become so emotionally invested that they feel they need to not only speak out and support other celebrity stands, but at times even go to great lengths to verbally attack members of other fandoms, and attack, their idols as well. It's crazy. And most people, have a very balanced sense of musical taste, film taste, etc., and most adults usually outgrow the adolescent tendencies of having a favorite celebrity, although there are many of them who feel they can identify in many ways with a particular person or group of people in the spotlight. It doesn't usually reach the extent of bordering on idolatry and obsession. Posters all over your wall, having to own every single piece of merchandise with that celebrity's name on it or image on it, spending every waking moment of their spare time listening to them or watching them, or online scouring for information on or about them, what other people are saying about them, positive or negative. In the show, it's almost as if many of uh, Nija, who is Dre's idol, many of her fans are one collective body with one collective mind, coming together for the same goal, working fiendishly to help promote their favorite artists online and social media, as if they need any assistance with promotion or anything. But, streaming songs over and over in order to do their part, unquote, to help them reach a goal or the top of the charts, And sadly, there are those fans who start out, casual, who, for whatever reason, just snap and go crazy and have either attacked others in their own fan community, others from other fan communities, or the celebrities themselves. It's happened. It is what it is. We live in that world now. Um, so it makes me almost think of the podcaster, the female podcaster, her and her family, who were recently murdered by an obsessed craze fan. And it's devastating. And my condolences go out to that podcaster and her family. I think her first name was Ramen or Ramin, Ramen, and I cannot pronounce her last name, but it starts with a K. But long story short, scenarios like that, and you think of John Lennon and Selena Quintanilla, the Tejano princess who was slain in 1995. Those in similar cases, you think of those and reflect on those instances in pop culture history, and it's happened, and the fact that it's happened more than once itself is disturbing. So it's also intriguing though to realize how many additional attempts on particular celebrities' lives there have been that have been thwarted. Like, seriously, if you're bored one day and have a little spare time on your hands, just Google how many celebrities have had to testify in court against their own fans. Fans who somehow, for some reason, morphed into crazy, obsessed, deranged stalkers. Honestly, that could be an entire video on its own itself. But anyway, I digress. So, moving on, I'm sure many of us can think back to our adolescent years and fondly recall memories of us, listening to our favorite musical artist or attending their concert or, defending them maybe or promoting them to a family member or sibling, or a friend, parents at the dinner table, and your love and adoration for that artist is part of your identity. It's one of the most well-known, easily recognizable things about you, especially if you're a very outspoken, teen or preteen or whatever, adolescent. And a lot of people that age connect through a shared love of musical artists, and that's how they become friends, And there are people who have been very touched by either an artist, their music, or their song lyrics, or even their personal life story in some way. Many people have said that there's some music that has been so powerful, it's helped them during the very darkest times of their life. That's just the power of music. And research even shows that music is able to touch areas of your brain that other things cannot. Even former patients who have been in comas have recalled some of the music that was played for them by loved ones when they were unconscious. It's amazing how music works and how it can penetrate the soul and the body's nerves in a way and can heal, and have a healing effect. So particular love for a particular artist or celebrity, if you positively identify with them in that way, it's understandable and easy to see why you could feel so strongly about them, right? However, there are times when it crosses that thin line, that thin threshold of healthy to unhealthy. And Swarm helps show us what happens when that thin line is crossed. It's a show about the perfect storm of events that can create the most terrifying, horrific scenarios imaginable. And it depicts what happens when everyone's worst fears about an obsessed crazed fan are brought to life. And it explores what it is that may have possibly gone on in this person's past to make them do such a thing. And again, without going too much into detail about the main character's past, I'll just say she did suffer a trauma. And that trauma, through a series of events, Dre starts to feel like in her own little world, isolated, in like a world of loneliness. And there are a few constants in her life and a few people who she can truly trust. And she feels that Nyjah is one of those people. Dre is not only a Nyjah fanatic, but one of my favorite scenes in the film is showing other people who are as well and a part of, Nyjah's fandom. It's very interesting. But the difference between Dre and people like Dre and the more balanced casual fans is that they're able to exhibit that balance, just that. I think every one of us knows at least one fan of a celebrity who, like Dre, are so enamored and engulfed with their lives that they'll do things like sacrifice rent money, to see them in concert. and or start to spend more of their time involved with things related to that celebrity, such as watching their content, interviews they've done, or interacting online with other fans. And again, some of that is common, can be fine. The issue is the thin line between balance and imbalance, and acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior. Because in some instances, it can become very blurred. It's not a thin line. It's like, darn near invisible. So most people catch themselves once they realize they might be slipping into a little bit of this in some way. Once they realize that an aspect about what they're doing might be a little out of whack, and they may need to kind of, reconvene, fine tune, and kind of try to get back into a more balanced mode. Just a little adjustment here and there, whatever, in their lifestyle. But there are some people who are just so in their own bubble that they don't even realize that their devotion to these celebrities, or celebrity in particular, is causing a fracture between them in other aspects of their life, driving a wedge between them and other people, or interfering with their job, in addition to like social aspects of their life, or God forbid they're a parent, interfering with possibly their care for their children. Yes. So, if someone's gonna spend money on Beyoncé tickets over getting Pampers for their kid, then my goodness, I think that speaks for itself. But so, yeah. Yeah, so as I briefly mentioned earlier, Dre's prior childhood experiences and life experiences up to this point have formed and shaped who she is as a person. A person who is deprived of connection to family or friends, and who struggles to make genuine connections with people. She's actually experienced multiple traumas, so even worse than just one. It's like a consecutive series of them. For why, they only go so far into details, but I think the most important thing to know is it wasn't just like a one-time thing, which has a lot to do with how that can affect someone's psyche and emotions as well. So, yeah, she tries to go through many phases to discover, who she truly is as a person, who she really is. And through that, she loses herself a little in the process. And she begins to take on the identity of other people. And we, at some points, we don't know who the real Dre is. We don't know if maybe she has multiple personalities, or if, I don't know, was there something other than bipolar, like tripolar, like schizophrenic, possibly multiple personalities, I don't know. But she is able to exhibit these different personas to different people in different situations. And like I said, very complex. We don't know if this is just all her having many, many moods or personality types, or just, for all we know, could be split personalities. Anyway, so back to the different episodes within the series, I would say one of the most popular and most beloved, but also hated episodes is the 6th episode, or the second to the last episode. As I briefly mentioned earlier, it is a mockumentary style, and it throws somewhat of a curveball into the entire series, and almost makes you wonder on a completely different level what the heck it was you were watching the first 5 previous episodes. However, having said that, this episode also solidifies one thing about Dre, and it's the fact that she's a very unreliable narrator. Yes, she's added to our new ever-growing long list of unreliable narrators in pop culture. And we start to, at that episode, we start to question not only her reactions to things, but possible what were her initial actions, prior. A little bit, we start to do that before, but it's definitely apparent that a lot of people start to by episode 6. And one popular online theory involves speculation that the tragedy that occurs to the person Dre is closest to in the opening episode may not have actually exactly happened the way we witnessed it, as again, it was being told through the eyes of Dre. And we learn, as like I said, episodes go on, that she doesn't always hear and see the same things going on around her as others do. So it's very difficult to disprove this theory, or any fan theory for that matter, as again, the storyline, the cinematography, the production, they leave so much open to the interpretation of the viewer. And which you either love or hate. I feel a little bit of both ways. But, two things can be true at once. And so it's a mind trip. It's very trippy. Visually, it's quite the psychological experience. And so getting back to Dre, the person who's closest to her in her life, is also a huge fan of Nyjah. Nowhere near as big as her. I don't think anyone in the world is, but very, very big fan of hers, right? So they have that bond, that connection. And I think that might be actually the only person she's ever truly, really connected to. And like I said in the opening of the video, it's completely normal to feel a type of camaraderie and a sense of connection to other fans of certain artists and celebrities. But the problem begins when, the line blurs between, I guess, visible and invisible, and boundaries start getting crossed. Lines that should be visible, I guess, but become invisible to certain people. And when a fan's relationship with their idol, as well as others in their everyday life, just start to conflict, you have devotion to this person that you're in this parasocial relationship with, and then you have the other aspect of your life, which should be like, your actual social relationships. And guess who wins? So Dre's story shows us what happens when the same idol who was viewed as a goddess or a savior in your life can also become the inspiration and source for their dysfunction and destruction of it as well. I think it was an excellent piece of cinema, and I would probably give it 4 out of 5 stars overall. However, the acting, I would definitely give 5 out of 5 stars, 6 out of 5 stars. Acting, everybody brought it to the table. They all ate it up. Good job. Major players and people who didn't have, even the guy at the freaking phone store. Oh my gosh. Apparently he's also an influencer. So that was kind of, a joke within a joke. One of my favorite scenes in the film. Yeah, even though he was in the film for less than 5 minutes, he killed it. So, there were a lot of cameos and pleasant surprises from a few musical artists and celebrities in there. Some who've never even acted in a film before. And I think everyone from the writers and producers to the actors did an amazing job with this film. And the most intriguing thing, or one of the most intriguing things about it to me, is that there are just so many possibilities within the origins of the story and even the ending of the story. It's very telling that the majority of the fan base of this film, or show, have mixed feelings about the ending. And even though they like it, they enjoyed it, it's like a schism, but they can agree to disagree. Mostly people, who have viewed this show, right? they're able to toe that line, that balance, and self-regulate, that in itself is its own level of intrigue. And the whole Beyonce aspect about it, wondering how she truly feels about it and if she'll ever speak out about it. And I think Beyonce's fan base have overall been somewhat supportive of the film. Maybe realizing, ironically, if they are too defensive, it might only further prove the film's point, the show's point rather. And again, waiting to see if Beyonce is going to say something, and if so, what, right? But I think it does a good job of not only just poking fun at the queen bee and her hive, but also poking fun at the overzealous, stan culture, the culture of celebrity fandom and, toxic fandoms as a whole. So, most people I've spoken with feel that Beyonce made it clear that she loves and appreciates her fan base. However, unlike a few other artists, there's a clear distinction between when they do and when they don't support one of their fans or actions of multiple fans, more of their fans, right? I think Selena Gomez, she comes to mind with this, like her begging her fans to please stop the online taunting and harassment of Hailey Bieber, so it kind of makes you wonder whenever things like that occur in another celebrity fandom, Beyonce's or what have you, like, does silence represent consent? Is it even their responsibility to do so? But the fact that Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber fans are still engaging in some of the same behavior, knocking on 30's door as they were when they were in middle school and high school, baffles me. But that's just how invested fans sometimes get. I mean, I do have to say, I do have a soft spot in my heart for Selena. Um, like my mother, she is diagnosed with lupus, and sorry, just thinking about mom. She had lupus amongst a few other conditions and illnesses, but I feel that she does a good job of saving face, even though we know she's going through so much physically, if not, even emotionally. And the fact that her, how do I say this? The fact that her, I guess her, let's see, vulnerabilities lie a little bit closer to the surface, I guess, is a delicate way of saying it. And she chooses to be open about a lot of it and share. I feel that is one of the reasons that people are kind of drawn to her more so than other celebrities. She shares the good, the bad, and the ugly, whereas most, especially online and social media, only share the good. And, she, from, receiving a kidney transplant from a friend and having that documented. I mean, her former bestie who did that for her recently kind of, criticized her for drinking so much. They had a very public feud and falling out, but nonetheless, Selena Gomez has now surpassed Kylie Jenner as the most followed celebrity on Instagram. And she's been the subject of quite a bit of tabloid fodder and public speculation, for a while. And this is just the most recent incident of a long list of instances that this has occurred with her. And so many of her fans believe that Hailey Bieber is the reason that she and Justin Bieber broke up. and that if it wasn't for Hailey, Justin and Selena would still be together. And now, whether or not this is true is besides the point. I won't go too deep into that. That could certainly be its own video in itself as well. The thing I'm getting at is to the fact that why does her fans even feel so emotionally invested in her, and that they care about her personal life so much in this manner that they're being so meddlesome about it? Is it because of what she's going through? I don't know. Is it because so much of her life is played out in the public and she chooses to be open about so many things that her fans think that this is welcome? I don't know. It's an enigma, it's perplexing. And so over the past few months alone, there have been dozens of videos making the rounds on social media, but especially YouTube, about the topic of Selena's fans bullying Hailey Bieber. And, back and forth, there are accusations as well. They said like Kendall Jenner and Justine Skye, who are besties with Hailey, have also bullied Selena. That's interesting. May or may not have occurred, but it doesn't seem to be on the same level as Selena's fans basically cyberbullying, Hailey. Love her or hate her, no matter how you feel about her, no one deserves to be cyberbullied. And though they haven't been outright or downright called out before for the menacing online behavior towards, other people from other fandoms or actual real celebrities, they have really, really kind of crossed into the threshold of the area of the beehive when it comes to the tactics that they engage in and the behavior and the way they just raise the stakes each time, doing something more and more crazy and unbelievable and outlandish. And celebrity fandoms get very, very ugly towards each other. Some go as far as to attempt to get other social media pages removed by either placing false reports, or some celebrities allegedly, and bloggers definitely, have been accused of hacking into other celebrity social media accounts to either post fake messages or delete everything. I mean, it gets crazy. I think one of the most famous instances of this was blogger Jason Lee and Tasha K, and how they both have accused each other of hacking into each other's social media accounts. It gets crazy. So, getting back to Selena's fan base, most of them have taken a stance that they believe it is their duty and their responsibility to defend her at all cost. I will say that one aspect does appear that Hailey Bieber may have also been participating in similar behavior towards Selena, but Selena doesn't really, she's never come forward and said anything about that. So that's why there's some doubt there, even though Hailey Bieber's made some questionable posts. You can go look that up on your own time. There's, videos about her making posts similar to Selena immediately after she does it, or trying to copy the clothes, outfits she's worn multiple times. For all I know, it could be a PR stunt just to try to get people to engage with her social media. Or maybe she really is obsessed with her on some level. Either way, I believe Selena did an admirable job articulating herself and expressing the emotion she had about the situation. And I feel she very eloquently conveyed her appreciation for the concern and support of her fans, but she also strongly expressed her disapproval of any type of cyber stalking or cyberbullying behavior. In just a few hours of research, and you'll be able to see that just about every single major celebrity has had at least one instance of an obsessed fan who has either snuck past guards or a gated community, a white picket fence, barbed wire fence, whatever, or gone through other extreme measures to try to encounter them because they feel like, you're either owed that by them, or that the celebrity would somehow benefit in some way by meeting them. And just the horrific stories again of John Lennon and Selena Selena killed by the president of her fan club, of all people, who also Selena Gomez was rumored to be named after. I'm sure those stories lurk in the back of the minds of a lot of celebrities, heads, or at the forefront of their minds. When these celebrities address their fan base as a whole, they're not just thinking about the casual fans who comment occasionally online on their social media or other people's social media. They're thinking about those fans, like the fans of John Lennon and Selena. Okay? They certainly are. And many celebrities themselves know that there is an extremely thin line between admiration and obsession. And so I think it is very interesting how Selena chose to address this. I really do. And it kind of makes you wonder why certain celebrities speak out about things of that nature and why some don't. It's one thing to kind of post your input about a situation going on in a celebrity's life. Last year when Chris Rock got the crap slapped out of him by Will Smith on live television, who all wasn't engaging in conversation and conversing about that, right? Amongst one another in our everyday lives as well as online. So that's understood. But there's quite a difference between telling a joke or a few jokes about a celebrity to other people, or commenting your input about what may have happened to that celebrity, and telling a celebrity that they should off themselves. It just, there's again a line that has to be drawn, and most people realize this. The thing is, some people may be doing it in like a jocular manner or very nonchalantly, but all those threats have to be taken seriously, because you don't want to accidentally dismiss a threat that you just thought was a joke. Like, you'd rather pay attention to everything than just dismiss everything, because it's good. You know what I mean? So it's such a headache. And some people, honestly, they're not joking. It gets bad. So like I said, a lot of celebrities know that realistically this could occur. You'll have to watch the documentary to see whether or not Nyjah addresses all the unusual behavior going on within her celebrity fandom, her fan base, the Nyjah stands. And yeah, it really, really raises a lot of interesting questions and has a lot of correlations to things that are going on right now in the celebrity world, in pop culture. And again, it's their own choice if they choose to speak out on things happening amongst their fan base. But absolutely, if it gets as serious as death threats, then I know I would definitely say something. So kudos to you, Selena. She spoke sternly but calmly. And again, she wasn't like chastising as some celebrities do when they speak to their fan base, kind of talking down to them, even when they haven't done anything like that. But she made it very, very clear she was not condoning the negative behavior. And again, like Beyoncé, I'm sure she realizes that most of her fans are respectable human beings. However, it only takes just one fan to go over the top and do something outlandish, and you never know. You just never know when that one person will act out on their compulsions and become a Dre. So better safe than sorry. That's another reason I tip my hat to her. I give her kudos. So I feel she's quite a testament to being a balancing act. She doesn't defend when her fans participate in negative behavior, outlandish behavior. Other celebrities have done that. Nor does she, curse out her own fans, which other celebrities have also done. She, has just chosen to not remain silent about something that half the world is seeing and observing and talking about. And I'm sure Hailey Bieber is far from her favorite person, but it just shows the caliber of character she has, where she is saying, okay, guys, I get it. You're trying to go hard for me. You're my ride or dies, whatever, but this is just not cool. just stop. And so Swarm kind of looks closer to situations like that when celebrities act in such a manner that is just really shocking in their behavior. And you're like, okay, they amongst themselves might be supporting this or, championing this, but does their idol even? And if they really, really respected and admired their idol, would they go against their wishes, So to summarize, but again, they need to make it clear because silence, anybody can put words in your mouth, right? So from my personal experiences, I say it's always better. That's just the type of person. I'd rather over communicate than not communicate enough, not communicate effectively. Um, but yeah, so to summarize, though most confrontations among individuals who are members of different celebrity fandoms occur online, there have been reports of fans of particular celebrities who have physically attacked others offline in the real world in the name of defending their idol, whether it be a slap, a punch, a stab, or worse. And Swarm does a good job, an intriguing job of imagining what it is that may have occurred in that particular person's life to cause them to reach that point. A lack of concern about how their own actions might be negatively impacting others and to severe degrees. Other fans, other people, obviously outside of the fan base, and their idols themselves. Lastly, in closing, I'll just say another reason I respect, appreciate, and value Selena's decision to handle the decision the way she did is because she understands that what she's saying coming from her will be received and accepted differently than if it was coming from someone else. Her fans are more likely to respect and consider the words of their idol than anybody else from any other fandom or any other person criticizing them. So, yeah, thanks for listening. And definitely, if you haven't seen it already, please consider checking out Swarm and just send Selena Gomez your love and prayers.